Alright, so this is my review of the M7sl by Sundeal. This is my second year of riding it. I've got a little over 200 miles on it. There are a lot of things that I have upgraded. Some things were necessary, some things weren't necessary. So I'll start going over everything now. Right off the bat, I did put different tires on here. I got the Schwalbe Hans Dampf tires. The stock tires were pretty good for more packed trails. I ride a lot of hard rock, like real loose rock trails, and those trails were really tearing up those tires pretty bad, so I had to upgrade those. I still got them. They're still in decent enough shape. I'll try to get a little shot of those on here to kind of show the wear that they have on them. This fork is a different fork. The RockShox Recon TK, Silver TK. This is an air fork. The original RockShox fork that was on here I broke, sort of. The hydraulic lockout on the original RockShox fork quit working, and it locked up while being unlocked. So I gutted that out of it and continued to ride that for a little while. I didn't have any problems out of it afterwards, but I wanted to upgrade for a longer travel. This is 120 mil travel, and to get a little bit more adjustability out of it with it being an air fork. I have replaced the cross-country style stem that it comes with a, I believe, a 50 millimeter offset stem, and I replaced the handlebars with some wider handlebars that have a little bit more of a rise on them. I still have the original grips, the original brakes, and the original shifters. Of course, I've replaced the seat. It's just a cheap padded Walmart seat. It does have the KS dropper post. It's not the KS lev. This is the external routing version. I forgot the model of that. I've had that on there for probably 150 miles, and it is absolutely phenomenal. I love it. It's one of my favorite purchases for the bike, for sure. On the back tire, that has also been changed out to the Schwalbe Hans Dampf tire. Again, the tires that it come with, I believe, were Kenda, if I'm not mistaken. Those were really good tires for just like hard packed dirt trails, a little bit of gravel, stuff like that. But getting on the real rocky trails, real rough trails that I ride on a lot, I was just tearing them up. They did pretty good though while I had them, but I was just causing too much damage and getting too many flats with them, so I had to upgrade. I do have the original rims on here, the double wall alloy rims that it comes with. Out of the box, I went through and checked each spoke to make sure each nipple was tight. Other than that, I have never made any adjustments on it. I've jumped this thing, I've went over big drops, I've hit some gnarly rocks with it. The rims have stayed 100% true. I mean, as true as they could possibly stay. They've been phenomenal. I am running tubeless. I did the ghetto tubeless mod with or hack with duct tape, and I made my own. I make my own sealant out of liquid latex, costume latex, and glitter. And I've been doing that for about 100 miles now and have not had any problems. It was a little tricky to get these rims to hold on to the tire for the tubeless. It did take a little bit of work, but I managed and they work great. But the rims have stayed true and are very solid. I still have the original Shimano SLX rear derailleur and the original cassette on here, along with the original Avid brake calipers and disc brake. So I have no problems. Out of the box, I had zero problems with the Shimano derailleur and the shifter. I didn't even adjust it out of the box. I've got 200 miles on it and I still haven't adjusted it, or over 200 miles and I still haven't adjusted it yet. I went to a one by on the front here. I put a race face, narrow wide chainring on there, still on the original cranks. That was a pretty easy conversion, but this chainring is offset this way to the outside a little bit too much, so it makes it a little bit harder to stay in first gear. Sometimes it pops a little bit. I have replaced the chain did break, but that was after right around 200 miles is when that one broke. It broke just before I put it up for the winter. The original cranks and bearings are in here. Whenever I changed this out to the one by drive, I did inspect everything really good and everything was pretty solid. I did have some problems with the threads on the frame for the bearings. Whenever I changed those out, the threads got stripped a little, or cross threaded a little bit. It was a little scary. I ended up having to use a Dremel and then also a dental pick to clean the threads and manage to get it all back together, and since I've done that, I have had no problems whatsoever. So it's a pretty good setup that I got going on here. Everything's holding. The original grips, they're in phenomenal condition. There's no tearing on them. They're super soft. They feel great. I love them. Of course, they're bolt-on, so I haven't had any grip slip at all yet. So here's the rear brakes, the original Avid hydraulic caliper, and the original rotor. If I'm not mistaken, it's 140 in the back and 160 or 180 in the front. I'm not for sure. It's been a while since I've looked at the specs. But anyways, so I haven't had any problems out of the brakes, out of the brake calipers. They've not leaked on me. Whenever I first got it, I zip tied the brake handles, that brake levers back, put a zip tie around it here, went up around the grip, and cinched them both down real tight like that and left them sitting overnight. That got all the air out of the line, and after that I've only had to adjust the screw right here just a little bit and then it was ready to go. However, the problem that I do have with the brakes, and it is in both the front and the back, but more so I feel it in the front whenever I'm using my front brakes, is these are the Spline Brakes. These are not bolt-on calipers, and there is just a little bit of play front to back in them. So what I mean by that is if I hold a brake, I can rock the bike back and forth. It's not much, but it's enough to feel it, and whenever you do it on the front end, it feels like something in the fork's loose. So here's the front rotor. Still all original. Everything's holding up really good. I did replace that little plastic cap with that anodized aluminum cap. I actually got that off of the Wish app for like $1, and just had to wait, a month and a half to get it in. These are just some cheap BMX style pedals, platform pedals from eBay. I think I paid like $10 for them, but they're aluminum and they hold up great. The dropper post, I think it was right around $100 if I'm not mistaken. $120. The fork is a brand new fork, but it was a takeoff of a factory bike that I also got that on eBay for I think $100, and then I had to pay, you know, whatever it was, $30 for the pump for it, something like that. So that was a pretty good deal. Still got the original cables for the shifters and the brake lines. Those have all held up really, really good. The shifting is just super, super smooth. I love it. As you can see, I deleted the shifter on this side since I no longer had the front derailleur. Alright, so I'm gonna hold the brakes. I'm gonna rock on the front and the back. I'll rock it back and forth and try to show how much play is in that spline disc brake setup. This is the front brake. You can see bike's moving quite a bit. Right here to the back side, again quite a bit. But both brakes together, there's still quite a bit of roll in it. But when I'm riding, I don't feel it on the back that much, but I do feel it on the front quite a bit. It's a lot of movement in that. I mean, it's solid. It's solid. I don't feel like it's going to ever break. So I think it's pretty good quality. Again, on the front wheel, the original Sundeal labeled double wall aluminum rim. I tightened, can't say I adjusted, I didn't adjust pretty much anything out of the box on this bike. I tightened the nipples up on the spokes and make sure they're all tight when I first put it together. After that, I haven't touched a thing on it. The whole bike was that way, honestly. Even though I've replaced some stuff on here, it's just for my preferences, like the shorter stem, wider bars, higher uprise on them, lighter fork with air shocks on there, the dropper post, the tires. That was all, the 1x drivetrain is all preference. Out of the box, this bike was absolutely everything on here is just as smooth now as it was the day that I bought it. So all in all, I mean, I would recommend this bike to absolutely anybody, and I have to a lot of people. I'll see these guys stopping me on these trails at the park that I ride at. It's called Castlewood. It's up in St. Louis. They'll stop me on the trails or in the parking lot and be like, hey, you know, that's a good looking bike. Is that carbon fiber? No, it's aluminum. A lot of guys think that it's a carbon fiber frame whenever they see me riding by on it. It's just a super freaking slick frame. Got the internal cable routing. Had no problem with that. When I deleted that derailleur down there to go to the 1x, I utilized that routing for my dropper post. Works out great there. It's just a good looking bike. It's a solid trail rig. It's a little bit on the heavy side. I think I got it at like right around 30 pounds or 28 pounds, something like that right now. I'd have to weigh it again to tell you for sure, but it's solid. It handles everything that I throw at it. So that's my review of the Sundeal M7sl. Any more questions, just put it in the comments and I'll get back with you on it. Thank you guys.